Sheriff Seabolt,
Good to see
I
you.
appreciate you coming. I really
Yes,
do.
sir.
You are number 4 of all 4 candidates, and I guess I intentionally did that because I guess you're the incumbent, and so you've got the story to tell. You know,
Yes, sir.
so because if your opponents, if they're asking this question, that question, what about budget, jail? If nobody knows, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
so you can clear the water on any of the unknowns. So that's why I did it. So the main reason, those your glasses,
Mm-hmm.
I'll need them. So I'll wait a minute so you can edit that out. Okay, so the main reason that I wanted to do this, you've been involved in debates before,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't like debates. And I've said this with some of the other candidates. I don't like debates because I don't like, there's usually a ulterior motive for the people putting it on, and then questions usually get skewed in favor of whoever's putting it on. So I don't like that. And whenever I started listening to this race, to the sheriff's race this time, there was just so much noise,
Oh, yes, sir.
so much unnecessary noise, and I thought, why can't men just sit down and talk?
I agree.
Just sit down and just say, hey. And I think, and I could be wrong, but I think that doing this, and when I talked to you before and I asked you if you'd be willing to do it, and you said automatically, absolutely, nothing to hide, I'll do it. And rightfully so, all the others did too. And it's I think it will shed a lot of light on people that don't know you, don't know your opponents. They get to sit down and they get to hear them. And I think it arms the citizens more to be able to say, okay, well, I listened to Sheriff Seabolt talk about all that stuff, and that's what I'm looking for.
I agree.
And so that's all I'm doing. No, and like I told you before, no hidden agenda. Everything's down the middle of the road for all candidates because I respect all of you, and I'm going to do my best to try to make sure all the stuff that people sent me and said, I'd like to know this, I'd like to know that. And because some of it is actually, they want to know, and it may just have to be something that has to be dispelled because of something else, noise that other people have said may not even be accurate. And so that's why that was the strategy behind doing you last.
Yes.
Because you're the one, you've been there 8 years now, 7 years?
Going on 8.
Going on 8 years. So you've got the most knowledge of that, the workings of that sheriff's office. So let's start with, I guess, all the way back to when you was born.
Yeah, I was born in Davidson County. I was raised by my grandmother. I saw my mom, occasionally, not that much. My father, I didn't know my father up until I was probably 12, 13 years old. I love sports. Sports kept me out of trouble, and I ended up moving in with a cousin. Beer and skiing. He used to drive NASCAR. He got killed in 1963, I believe, in Darlington at Southern 500. And his wife, Miss Belinda Skeen, had 2 kids. We're actually cousins, Derek and Chris Skeen. And we played ball together. We hung out together, and they were like my brothers. I spent a night down there, and every week or so, and then it seemed like I was spending a week down there, and then a month, and I eventually just moved in with them, and we consider ourselves brothers this day.
Let me just because I was just here, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but So your grandmother raised you,
She raised me up until I was about 12 years old.
and you didn't see your mother much. And what'd you
No,
say about your dad? You didn't.
I didn't know my dad up until I was probably uh, short of driving, probably 12
So
years of
I'm
age.
going out on a limb, and I'm saying it may have been a, a kind of a tough childhood.
Yeah, for the most part, it was. I didn't realize it, at
Yeah, we
that
never
time.
do.
Yeah, I didn't know we were poor. I remember going to the grocery store and having to put food back. And this was on a Saturday when everybody went to one grocery store in Denton. And we had to hop a ride because my grandmother did not have a driver's license. And it was, sort of embarrassing to her, which I didn't know any better. And, now looking back, when I became older, looking back, I admire my grandmother much, much more for what she had to do in my life to make me who I am today.
Grandmas are tough, ain't they?
You better believe it. I loved her.
Okay, so then you went from Davidson to Randolph with I guess Denton, all of Denton is Randolph.
Parts of Denton is
So
Randolph.
you got closer to Randolph.
Yeah, what happened? And I went to Denton High School, played ball. Went to Guilford College and played football for 2 years.
So fairly athletic then.
Yeah, as I said before, it kept me out of trouble, kept me busy, and I couldn't afford to go back to Guilford because it was a private school.
Okay.
And that was a year Ronald Reagan had cut some of the financial aid. And I decided then I could not afford to go back. I got a job stacking lumber, then working in the electrical field, learned how to wire houses. And I applied with the North Carolina State Highway Patrol and got accepted in 1985.
Okay, so how old were you then?
I was 21 years old.
So right at the minimum number here.
And I applied, in 84, I guess, and got accepted to the 76 basic school. I went there in April 20th and graduated August 23rd and was stationed Guilford County. I went there, stayed there for 11 years, transferred to Randolph County in 1996. I had turned down a promotion to Caswell County. I just wanted to get closer to home. And Randolph was, in fact, close enough for me to get home, to say I was at home. My wife, I met at Moses Cone Hospital in Greensboro, and she lived in Randolph County.
And which I will say, she's a Randleman Tiger.
Exactly. Yeah, she went to Randleman, and we've been married now since 1989.
Okay, so about 39 years.
Yeah, we got 2 kids, Hunter and Jordan, and 5 grandsons. So both my kids live out of state. My son lives in South Carolina, Lexington, South Carolina. My daughter lives in Butler, Alabama.
Alabama. So yeah, that's
she went to the University of Alabama, and my son went to UNC Charlotte.
Okay.
After I retired, we bought a place at the beach. I spent a lot of time down there working.
All right, let's back up just a little. So you were working for the Highway Patrol, and then you married and your children.
I got married in 89,
mm-hmm.
and I retired in 2013.
Okay, so now let's go back over your tenure as a trooper. I don't know much. I'm sorry, I don't know much about the troopers, the way they do that. But I know I've read before about master troopers and how, if you will, go through kind of how you progressed through the Highway Patrol and what skills that you acquired through training or whatever, and any awards, if any.
Okay, yeah. In 1985, I went to Greensboro as a trooper, And after a certain period of time, you can move up the chain to a senior trooper and then a master trooper. The years is 3 to 6 for a senior trooper, and then over 6 for a master trooper. During that time, I was a training officer. I got to train my first trooper cadet at a basic school with only 3 years old.
Is that standard?
No, it was. I was very much honored to be looked at as a trooper that they felt like would do a good job in training another trooper. So I trained probably 15 to 25 troopers in the Greensboro area from 85 to 96. Then I came to Randolph County. I transferred to Randolph County and started Operation Red Sleigh in 1999.
Mm-hmm. Still in operation today.
Still in operation. Is what, 26th year, I guess. And it helps underprivileged kids at Christmas time. Mm-hmm. I got awards from the state for community involvement. I got, it was a Secretary of Crime Control and Public Safety Award for that, then the Governor's Award for that. And while in Randolph, I stumbled upon a lady that had jumped in the water at Random Lake.
I just remembered that. I was going to ask you about that.
I just happened to be there or close by. I heard him give it out to the sheriff's office, so I went and arrived first. I found her shoes. She left the keys in the car. Her shoes were on the concrete median where she evidently just took them off and jumped. And I had the opportunity, which anybody would have done the same thing I did. I jumped in and found her and pulled her to the shore.
So was this a lady that was in mental decline?
Yes.
Okay.
She had some mental issues, and she tried to take her life. And I did get the National Trooper of the Year award for doing that, and got to go to Las Vegas, free trip. It's the first time I'd ever been to Vegas, first time I'd ever flown an airplane, and which was, I look at it as one of those God things. At first, you know, I didn't feel like I had enough self-esteem to run for sheriff due to my childhood. And, you know, I look at life as a big puzzle and a big picture, and God gives you pictures to add to that final picture. And that was one of those pictures that really defined who I was. You know, I always felt lower than any other person that I went to school with because of how I was raised. You know, I didn't have people coming over and spending the night with me. I couldn't go spend the night with them because of who I was. And that motivated me to become somebody who I didn't want to be. You know, most times
out of the comfort zone. You
want to grow up, you know, everybody in a small town would judge you and say, hey, you're going to be just like your mom. You're going to be like your dad. And I was determined not to be that way. So anyway, when that happened, I felt like God was telling me I'm just as good as anybody else. And he was preparing me for that job, for that sheriff's race, which I didn't think about it at the time, but I had done something that no other trooper had ever done, get the award, National Trooper of the Year award, by the American Association of State Troopers.
So that's the only time that's been given?
No, it's happened since
That's
then.
the first time. So you were the first recipient of that award.
Exactly. And it gave me the self-esteem at that time. I felt like, yeah, I'd accomplished something that nobody else had ever accomplished. that was a big turning point in my life. During the patrol, I was a driving instructor, general instructor. I got to teach troopers driving, also local departments, sheriff's offices that would come, city police departments, wildlife, SBI.
So was that at the driving course in Raleigh? Okay.
Exactly. It was. I'd go down there 1 week out of a month. It seemed like, and I got to meet a lot of troopers that way. It allowed me to grow outside my comfort zone. I enjoyed going down there, and it really helped, me grow as far as getting out of writing tickets, doing wrecks, and seeing the state in a different light, other than just enforcing speed laws.
Mm-hmm.
Down there, I got to meet a lot of people. I was asked to come down there and be a permanent driving instructor. And at that time, my kids were younger. They were playing ball, swimming, and I turned that down and continued to be a trooper here in Randolph County, which Randolph County is a great county. I love it. And it's so much better from where I worked before. That's Guilford County.
So you chose family and Randolph County over money and rank.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I didn't want to
Do
be
you
one of
regret
those
that?
suitcase dads.
Do you regret that?
No, no, never.
If you had to
never
do
would.
over again with again, you do the same thing.
Yes, sir. I most definitely would. And I don't regret the way that I was raised because it made me who I am today. It allowed me to look at people's problems, you know, um, in a way that I put myself in their shoes and I want to help them. Um, you know, when we were probably 2 steps away from being homeless ourselves. If my grandmother didn't work, but their house was paid for, and if not, we'd have been on the streets.
Growing up poor gives you a different perspective.
You better believe it. It does.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, after I retired from the Highway Patrol in 2013, we went to the beach, or I did. We fixed up a little house down there, trailer, and I enjoyed doing woodworking, making something look better uh, than when I started, compared to when I started. I like improvements, and I worked down there. And one day I was out fishing, which was at that time, one of the things I looked forward to. And I thought, I've caught the fish, I've done this, done that. There's got to be more to life than just what I've experienced thus far. And that's when I think God put that seed in reference to running for sheriff. Maynard Reed, our past sheriff, one before Robert Graves, had gotten sick. He ended up dying, and that's when I put my name in the hat to be considered to be the sheriff of Randolph County.
Okay, two questions. Well, let me back up, and then I'll go to those. I was going to address this later, but it's a good point to interject it. You've mentioned God multiple times. God guiding you through different things, and without you knowing it, God shaping you to the person you are today.
Mm-hmm.
So I personally believe that the vast majority of the citizens of Randolph County want a sheriff that, and I've told other candidates this as well, is they want a sheriff, a leader, not just a sheriff, county commissioners, just our leaders in general, that their first go-to is seeking God's wisdom.
You better believe it.
For their decisions. And I guess, is that what you do? Does that fit your bill?
Every morning we pray.
Who is we?
Well, I do individually, and
Mm-hmm.
then we do as a team at the office.
At sheriff's office?
Yeah, okay. We have prayer Bible study that begins at 7:30 every morning.
And that's voluntary, is that
And
right?
voluntary if
Okay.
you want to participate in it. And we go over things, we talk, and I can. We wouldn't be where we are today if it wasn't for our good Lord Jesus Christ. Period. We've had a lot of rocks thrown at us, and it seems like every time a rock is thrown, it ends up being a positive for us. And I do seek the wisdom of God, because sometimes it's hard. And a prime example, we waited. We had a dilemma, and I told my staff, we're going to wait over the weekend. I'm going to pray about it, and we're going to come back
This
Monday.
weekend?
No, this
Oh,
was
okay.
years ago.
Okay.
I said, I'm going to come back Monday and make a decision. And anyway, through the weekend, the problem had been solved. And I came back in and I said, that's why we waited. That's why we waited. We didn't point our finger at anyone. We didn't accuse anyone. I said, we let God handle it. And it made a lot of non-Christians in my admin staff take notice of it. And you know, I took notice of it. I learned a little bit. I grew a little bit out of that situation. And when you see God work in the sheriff's office the way he has, it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. I could sit here and tell you story after story after story of what God has done. And he's not done with me now. He's still
That's our purpose for being here.
the Invictus project. I know I'm getting off,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, we'll talk about that one there in just a little bit.
but that's a prime example of God. And when we get to that point, I'll explain to you how God allowed it to happen the way it happened, which was phenomenal.
Awesome. So here we are. So now we are. How many years do you work at the patrol?
30,
So
28, well,
28
30-year
year
retirement.
sick time. Yeah, right. So you applied sick time and stuff like
Mhm.
that. Yeah. So for the people that don't know, tell them how that sick time, because people will say, well, I retired with 34 years or 32 years or 30 years, and then they say, well, I worked 28.
Yeah.
Tell them how that
What
works.
it is, you can accrue your sick leave and vacation that you receive monthly and carry it over year after year after year. You know, I was at a point where I loved my job. I didn't ever take sick leave. I had kidney stones a couple of times and had to take sick leave. But I had saved over 2.5 years of sick leave and vacation. And that allowed me to retire about 2 years early.
So they apply the unused sick time and unused vacation. They apply that, you get credit
Yes,
toward your retirement.
exactly. Yes,
Okay.
sir. And, it's wise to do that. You can't, the most important thing anybody has is time. That's the most important. You don't know how much time you've got on this earth. And, each day I wake up, I ask God, hey, let me not waste this day. Give me a purpose. Give me a purpose. Allow me to do something good for somebody. And when I go home and go to bed at night, I want to be satisfied that I did something, because I can never, ever get that day back. Once it's gone, it's gone.
And
And
quick.
if you don't do something positive, I feel like it's a waste.
Yeah, I agree. So here we are. We're 28, 27,
28.
28 actual working years into the sheriff's office. You retire. You go to the beach and you get this home and you do some work on it, and then you make a decision that you're going to run for sheriff. Obviously, you were successful. You were elected sheriff, and you've been sheriff for 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
So people that don't know, it's hard to make 30 years in law enforcement, teacher and fireman. It's hard to make 30 years doing that. So now you did 30 years doing that. Then you come back and said, give me some more.
Yeah, and plus the last 11 years of my career with the Highway Patrol was third shift. I worked primarily by myself from midnight until 6 a.m. And, I was responsible for 805 square miles. And I got to deal with and work with a lot of the deputies out there. Um, it's tough, and one of the reasons I did that was my kids playing sports. I got to be there every weekend I had off, and I got to be at all their sporting events if if I could make it back and get to work by 9, 10 o'clock. So I don't regret that either. My first responsibility after I had kids was being a good father.
So now we're at this point where you got all that time at patrol, and then you say, I'm ready to retire. And then, no, I'm gonna be sheriff. You've been sheriff 7 years going on 8. Yeah, 7 years going on 8. That's a rough road. That's pretty brutal.
It has been.
And now you're lining up saying, give me some more.
Yeah.
Why?
God hasn't finished with me. I fell off a ladder 2 years ago and about died. I had crushed my large intestine, became septic, pushed my spleen up behind my heart, and I didn't miss a day of work. And Sunday, a week after it happened, 8 days after it happened, I became very sick. And I was rushed to the hospital. I waited in the ER. I didn't tell them who I was, but I waited, and they didn't even triage me, didn't check my blood pressure. I about died in the ER. And they rushed me to surgery the next morning, and I woke up 3 days later on a ventilator. And they said that you're very blessed to be here. And I knew that, then I looked at things a lot different, and I know that God is wanting me to continue to make improvements here in Randolph County. I don't know what they are, but He will guide me in the direction I need to go, I know. And if I can make it 4 more years, I will then make a decision on whether I'll run or not.
And that brings up another question. Because there's always this talk, and you get to dispel it. It's like, first of all, there's a special retirement or an additional benefit for a sheriff that, if I'm correct, it's 10 or 11 years.
10.
So 2 years into this term, you'll be eligible for that, for that, whatever that benefit is. And some theorize that you're going to do your 2 and you're going to leave.
No, I'll make a promise to the people right now. I'm going to serve the whole 4 years for the reason that I became sheriff. It's not about politics. I'm not going to slide somebody in my position and make it easy for them, like past administrations have done. Whoever, if I decide not to run, they're going to have to beat the bushes just like I have done. And that's working long days, advertising who you are, marketing yourself to the citizens of this county who may not know who you are.
And that's a brutal process.
You better believe it is. And it's early in the morning and late at night, just like today. I got up at 4:30 this morning, went to the farm, did some work there, then hopped in my truck, came up to the office, took some emails, checked some of those, left there, went to the polls, and worked all day. And I'm tired now. But I knew I'd made a promise to you to be here. That's why I'm here.
And I appreciate that. You just
And
don't know.
but yeah, there's no way I'm going to stay 2 years, and I wouldn't do that. And a lot of people are saying that because um, I guess it would make me look bad.
And I guess from the outside looking in, I'm just John Q. Citizen, and it would seem as a betrayal because
It
you'd
would.
be asking people, please give me your vote, give me your vote. I'm gonna be here. I'm gonna take care of you, and
You're exactly
then
right.
skip on 2 years.
You're exactly right. And I look at it as you got to look at the future. You know, uh, in this campaign, there's been a lot of things said that were very hurtful. And I think a lot of people, the people that have said it, looks at only the future as the sheriff of this county. They don't look at it as they're going to lose and have to live with these people in this county for the rest of their life. And you don't want to burn that bridge.
Yeah.
You know, I love everybody, and there's been some things that have been said that, man, they're putting it all out there.
And see, that was the basis for this Beyond the Ballot Randolph podcast that I wanted to start, is because there's so many people out there that because of all the noise, they don't know what to do.
They don't know who I am. They don't know who they are.
Right. And so what they do is, I mean, we have, the last primary, what would that have been? 2022?
Yes, sir.
2022 primary, I think before we went on, we were talking 19,000 people voted in the primary election. 19,000 people out of 150,000 people in this county.
I know.
But yet 150 of them will voice that they are dissatisfied. So people need to vote.
I agree.
And I want to help. This is why we're doing this, is just two men sitting down, just a normal conversation, and helping normal people be able to look at you and say, okay, that's a side of him that I haven't been able to see.
That's what I've always said, Jeff. I wish we could each take their heart out of their body, lay it on a table, and when they walk by, they can see who that person is.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I would love for that to happen.
Yeah.
If that would happen, I'd win every election I entered because I can relate to the people. And that's what you've got to have. We've done closings, a house closing in my office because the guy couldn't read. He came to me. And that was one of the most gratifying and satisfying things I've ever done. It's helped somebody. His wife wanted her name off the lease, off the title. He didn't know how to do it. She had always paid bills. She had always taken care of the paperwork. And she left him, and he was at a loss. And he supported me in the election, came to me and said, hey, I need help. And so we called the bank. We called representative at state employees, had them meet me, and we took care of it.
Yeah, certainly helping people
that's what it's all about.
That is one of the most self-satisfying things you
can
do.
And as a Christian, it's true happiness. It creates true happiness when you can help somebody when they don't expect it.
And you don't want nothing in return.
Yep. And you don't advertise it. That's what it's all about.
All right, so let's kind of get into, I guess, kind of the meat and potatoes of what you run and what you do there. So we'll go through just a couple of different, I guess, divisions and sections and help people understand it. So I guess first, what are the primary, although a sheriff does a lot, a sheriff and the sheriff's department, what are the primary responsibilities of a sheriff?
is to look after the people of Randolph County, their constitutional rights. Very important. You've got the long arm of federal government reaching over every day, and it's up to us, the sheriffs of each county, to say yay or nay. And I think we have set a precedence with the Second Amendment resolution that I was a part of in 2020, I think, 2019, letting them know that your guns are safe and we're going to protect you. It's more or less saying the federal government's not coming in and taking your guns, or we will, exercise that Second Amendment. We protect our people, whether you're a Democrat, Republican, Independent, whether you're illegal. If they live in Randolph County, we're going to look after them too, period. I don't agree with how they came to this country, and that's a federal problem, and hopefully the federal government will do a better job in addressing it. We're the only county in the whole United States or whole state that has an ICE agent.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Stationed at our jail.
Okay, well, we'll talk about that one too. Yeah.
Now, the reason for that is to eliminate some of our paperwork. This is not an agent that will go out looking for people. This is an agent that will identify those that are illegal that have been charged with this, and this. And it does not apply to NOL. It doesn't
explain to people what NOL is.
No operator's license.
So if they just never had one.
Right. And the reason they never have one, they can't get one.
Because they're illegal.
Exactly. You've got a lot of Hispanics that have been here 25, 30 years. They have grown kids. And in order to become a legal citizen, they're going to have, well, according to the federal plan, go back to Mexico, spend 5 years there, and then reapply. When their family,
do you support that process?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't. I think there's got to be some sort of other solution for that. I think by making them wait 5 years, that's 5 years of their life that is being wasted with their kids, grandkids, and everybody else living here in Randolph County. Now, these people are the ones that I consider in that whole plan that hold a job. They work 8 to 5, or they've been working for 25 years here. And their only concern is getting up and making it safely to work without getting stopped, or leaving work and making it back safely home. Now, if you've got somebody that's driving drunk, reckless driving, that goes out and rapes our female population, fights, yeah, I'm ready to ship them back in a heartbeat. They shouldn't live here. But those hardworking Hispanics that have made a life here, paid cash for their home, now they need to be paying taxes too, period. They need to be able to somehow pay their way as we have. We got to pay taxes every year. They should be too.
So and I'm just playing devil's advocate, if let's say Randolph County and Asheboro or whatever is a small Minneapolis, ICE comes running in and they want to go to a certain segment of Randolph County and they want to do a roundup. What's your thoughts? Support that? Don't support that? Back them up?
I would want to meet with ICE and see. They're going to have to abide by state law.
Okay.
State law says.
So does federal not supersede state law? Okay.
States create the federal government.
Okay.
All the states. State law is you know, in my opinion, greater and higher than federal law,
Okay.
period, because we created federal government. And that's another thing that the sheriffs are responsible for, making sure that long arm of the law don't override our laws. We have a constitution. We have a legislative branch down in Raleigh that has already addressed the immigration, the illegal aliens, immigrants here. And they said they cannot be sent back or given to ICE unless they meet this criteria.
Okay.
And that is hit and run. That's
So there's certain criteria.
assault,
Yeah.
rape, murder.
Okay, so if there was a, and I'm just again playing devil's advocate here, if the federal agency came in and they had a list, and let's say they've never been in trouble in Randolph County, but they came from somewhere else and they got in trouble there, and I said, I've got a list of 30 people here.
If they've got the list and they have violated what state of North Carolina has come up with, they got to go.
You're going to support them
I would
side
have
by
to,
side? Okay.
yes, as long as they abide by the laws of North Carolina,
Okay.
the statute.
So, okay, we'll talk about the detention center a little bit, and that's a pretty big issue. So, I mean, it's a broad topic as well. So, let's talk about inmates, pods, budget, staffing, transportation, meal prep, medical. I'm sure there's something else all that I missed.
State inspections.
Okay.
We'll
Now, let me be clear, and we'll talk about this in just a little later, because when we go talking about budget stuff, but the jail expansion itself, you inherited that. That was not your project to begin. That was under a prior administration, or maybe even the one before that. I don't know.
It was.
Okay.
It had been talked about for years. They finally broke ground and waited, and the price kept going up. At first I think it was going to be like a $30 million or $25 million project. It ended up being 45, 50 million because of the wait. Anytime you wait, most of the time the prices are going to go up. But we finally finished it, finally got into it, and
but I think you when I say your administration took that over in the final construction phases, so you were able to help spec that out.
Exactly.
Okay.
It was a final preparation. They hadn't even broke ground yet when we came.
Okay.
In.
So it was early. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and we said we need to make a change here, there. They had pods that were not quite right according to the state inspections. So we had Andrea Azelton, who had worked in the jail for years. You had Captain Calloway and Velvet Davis, and that's who the experts are, not Greg Seabolt. They had worked there. They knew what the specs should be. They knew what needed to be done here and there. And it really opened the eyes to Bordeaux, who engineered this project, and said, we need to do this more often. We need to let the people that work there, go over the blueprints.
What a concept, right?
Exactly. And so we made a lot of changes for the better, and Mosley came in and created the construction part of it.
Now, who is Mosley?
Mosley Architects.
Okay.
Yeah, they did most of the building and worked with Bordeaux. So we finally got into it mid last year. We increased the population from 210 to 420. We doubled its size.
Double the capacity.
And we've got all the pods up and running.
First of all, how many pods are there? And then explain to everybody what a pod is.
Well, this day and time, you got mental health issues that we deal with. If a pod is it's just a huge open area, and they may have jail cells, rooms on each side, and depending on who is in that pod, what type of criminal, whether they're a drug addiction, whether they're a murderer, they'd be in a pod where there's more of a security restrictions on them. It has a lot to do with what you're charged with.
So it's kind of like, I guess, if I can paraphrase it a little, it's kind of like, say, in your house, and you have a 4-bedroom house. Each bedroom would be a pod. Is that kind of the way it works?
Yeah, but they're they're huge.
And depending on what they are,
these pods can hold up to.
but it's individual areas. They're not all joined together, right?
Exactly.
So it's
you may have 2 pods, and it's supervised by one officer sitting in the middle in a glass contained room looking at both pods.
How many inmates in 2 pods?
You may have, we have an average of 300 in our jail now. You may have 35 to 70 inmates.
And you have one detention officer?
One looking unsupervised.
Okay.
Whether it's homicide, your felonies, or what concerns me more than that is your drug addicts. Because we've got to check on them every half hour. And what we have done is make it every 15 minutes.
Are you responsible for their medical as far as their, and I
Yes.
don't know, is it methadone for like a heroin addict that might need methadone?
What we've done, a lot of counties were being sued because you've got something that is available and you're not utilizing it. It's what's reasonable and prudent. And we've always, even in traffic laws, what would a reasonable and prudent person do in this situation? And that's the same way the MAP program is that we've got.
So what you tell us, what does that stand for, and what
It's medically assisted treatment.
Okay.
It's dealing with drugs. You have an addict that comes in that is addicted to heroin, for instance. He admits to it. We put him in a holding cell and we watch him for like 21 days, he or her. And during that period, it's a drying out period. We want to try to get that drug out of their system.
So do you have either a physician or a nurse that stays there all the time?
Yes, we have a physician that's on call.
Okay.
And a nurse is there.
So a nurse is there all the time, or just?
Well, no, they have to leave. There may be a transition time, but there's always somebody there from the medical team.
Okay.
Like Medico, the company we use. There's always a representative there.
Okay.
And they oversee the medicine that's being given out. You may have someone coming in that has a blood pressure problem, has to take Tropolol or whatever it may be, and they are the ones responsible for doing that.
And that medicine comes out of the sheriff's department's budget?
No,
okay.
it comes out of Medico's budget. Medico is our medical provider.
But Medico Services comes out of your budget?
Exactly.
Okay.
And that's pretty expensive.
Okay.
But we've got, I wanted to seek or first try to get the health department. We've got a health department in Randolph County. Why can't they serve our inmates? We're signing them up now to be on Medicaid. That a lot of, jails, detention centers are going that route now. The Obamacare. We're signing them up so if they do have to have medical expenses, huge medical expenses. Federal government can pay for it. You may have a person that has a heart problem, has dental problems. It shouldn't be up to our citizens of Randolph County to provide a partial or a heart monitor, whether it's a defibrillator or anything to do with heart.
And I guess in a roundabout way, if it's going through Medicare or the health department, in a roundabout way, we kind of still are paying some on that.
You're going to pay a portion of it. That's one of the.
But it circumvents it coming out of your budget and not necessarily needing to increase your budget, because I can imagine that medical attention, whatever you want to call it, I can imagine that that's a large portion of your detentions.
It's a huge amount. It could be devastating. We've got to really watch it. We've got to manage it, and we look at it every week. You never know when an air conditioner's going to go out. And an air condition down there, they're getting some age on them. We've got to provide that. And you know, if you have to pay $300,000 for an air conditioning unit for the top of the jail roof to provide air for 4 or 5 pods, it's tough. It's expensive. So we're looking at the budget daily. We try to be as frugal as we possibly can. And you never know. You know, you may have someone have a heart attack down there, and they go to the hospital. They have to have surgery. And, you know, that's us. That's our expense. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the public don't realize that.
How are you sitting on staffing down there right now?
We're almost full.
Staffing is full?
Yeah.
Good.
We're about 3 short on detention officers.
Okay, and I'm sure you've got people in training or I don't even know if they go through, we used to call it jailer school, but I don't know if it's BLET or what they do.
You've got 1 year to complete jail school.
Okay.
You can hire them. They have to be with a supervised, certified jailer, I guess you would call it, detention officer. They can't do things by themselves until they go to jail school. Okay,
there's something I do want you to address, because one of your opponents, they indicated, how many pods are there, do you know?
Is
it 7?
Got it. 8.
Okay, so this statement was that there were 7, but we'll just go with the 7 because what they said. There were 7 pods. 4 of them are shut down, nobody in them, and the inmates that are assigned to those pods are in the other pods
sleeping on the floor. That's incorrect.
Okay.
This
is why I love this, because
we have a bed assigned to each inmate. We had one inmate that was sleeping on the floor, and he had a bed. He had a bully as a roommate and made him sleep on the floor. So we put a stop to that. We moved him and put him in a bed mm-hmm. by himself, you know. Mm-hmm. It's just like a child daycare center. Yeah. You know, you've got people that are living together that don't know each other, and
for the most part don't like each other.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, we had an inspection last week. We were up at the office meeting. I was talking to the 2 captains of the detention center and the major about issues. And my phone rang. The jail inspectors down there won't do an inspection. So I said, well, y'all go ahead and go down there and accommodate his inspection. That was the 3rd inspection in a row in 18 months that he found no deficiencies. None. And he told an employee down there that don't get your hopes up. I find something at every inspection.
He was determined.
And that was his third straight. He said, I've never done this before. He's never seen it before.
That's an
So,
achievement.
you know, for the people out there that thinks our jail is in a bad state, it's not. You know, we've had people that were checked out. A lot of that is paperwork.
Let's talk about that. I've heard all these numbers, and there was some scuttle on social media, you know, just within the last week or so about one being released early, and I think once cooler heads prevailed, I think everybody came back and said, well, the sheriff was right. It wasn't anything improper, but there has been a number. It's like 5, 6, 7 in the last year or so. Or?
There's been 2 that
okay.
that were let go, released. That
what causes that? I guess 2 questions.
It was
what causes that?
Lack of supervision. Mm-hmm. We have got to check now, but we had one person looking at the paperwork, and that one person has other duties down there. She made a mistake, and you know it happens a lot. She let one out, and then another one let another one out. So we addressed it. We fixed it.
Same person?
No.
Okay.
We addressed it, and we said, what are we going to do to fix it?
That was going to be my next question. What was the action?
And what we did is now we have to have a supervisor look at the same paperwork before somebody is released. We have 4, you know, eyes looking at it instead of 2. When you work down there, you got booking, which is, you know, chaotic at times.
Now explain to everybody that don't know what booking is.
Well, booking is when you first enter the detention center. You may be waiting to go see a magistrate. You may be waiting to go to a pod. You may be waiting to get released. And you've got a lot of people in one little area that is chaotic. And you've got one officer that may have already left him there for a jailer, detention officer to oversee. And that person, it may be checking in or fingerprinting another person. So it's a very difficult time for the detention officers that are assigned booking. And, you know, due to manpower and budget, you know, our jail has doubled in size. That means booking has doubled in size. So we had to add more detention officers to that area also. And now you've got checks to do every 15 minutes. We got our little rooms out there to check on people that may be on drugs. We've got to make sure that they are breathing. And it's very important that that's done.
And that's one of your 3 main responsibilities.
You better believe it.
I mean, you've got the detention center, you got the jail, and you got civil process.
Yeah, in courthouse.
Yeah, I meant the courthouse.
Exactly. Yeah. And you know, if anything's gonna hurt, or you get sued over, say, as a sheriff, it's going to be most of the time the detention center. That's why it's very important that we choose good training officers down there. And, you know, the little things are what gets you. And I think right now with the 3 inspections of, knock on wood, of no deficiencies, we're headed in the right direction.
That's good. That's good. So let me ask something else, okay? Because nobody submitted this question, but I've seen some of the scuttle, and other people see it. So I know it's got to be a question in their mind. But so currently there are, for whatever their function is, there are TVs and iPads. Mm-hmm. Now, originally when you ran the very first time, was there an issue for whatever they were used for then? Did you originally say we need to get iPads out of there?
I I think iPads are a good thing because they can communicate with the outside.
Mhm.
With if you've got money in your bank account, you can use that money to communicate with a family member. And what that does, it eliminates another person to have to do the visiting.
Yeah.
When we were under construction in the COVID back in 2000, we did all visitation online, and it worked out great. We may have a pastor that may want to come in and talk to,
Mhm.
eyes on, or pray with a person, and we'll allow that.
Mhm.
But it has cut down on the number of people that we needed down there to oversee the visitation.
Okay, so one
Uh,
of your opponents says that if he's elected, TVs, iPads, they're gone. They're going back to a telephone on the wall. What's your thoughts?
if they do that, you're going to have to hire many more officers to break up the fights.
Really? Oh,
Yep.
fighting over the phone.
Well, that. Uh, what else are they going to do other than fight?
Good point.
If they're not watching TV,
Hmm.
if they're not reading a book
Besides staring at the
on
wall.
the tablet.
Now one would, and one of your opponents has said that is they shouldn't have that. They and this just popped in my head is they shouldn't have that. They shouldn't be able to look at TV. They shouldn't be able to have iPads. They shouldn't have that luxury. But something that it just hit me is that what percentage, if you even know, Sheriff, what percentage of the people are there? Brings up a couple of questions. There are people post adjudication that serve short term in the jails. Do they still do that?
Trustees, yes.
So just trustees.
And they're considered trustees.
Okay.
These are people that are serving a sentence for like DWI or trauma license.
So that would be like 30, 60, 90?
It could be 30 days, 60
Okay.
days, 90 days, could be a week. Um, we use those people as trustees most of the time, depending on their attitude.
Okay, so if you have, under the concept of eliminating iPads and TVs, and what is the ratio, just roughly, what would be the ratio between pre-trial incarcerated people, people waiting to be adjudicated, and
I would say 90%.
okay,
Uh,
so I guess in theory, if you don't have iPads, TVs, that's kind of a punitive
you would be
penalty
punishing, yeah,
to somebody that's not guilty yet.
exactly. And that's why we can't allow them to work. When I
Hmm.
came in, I wanted to put them out on the interstate picking up trash. I want them to earn their money, their I guess rewards of tablet. But
Do they do that?
you can't make someone work that has not been convicted.
So that brings up another topic. One of your opponents says we're going to chain gangs, we're going to chain them, we're going to put
Can't
them on the highway, we're going to
you
give
can
them.
do that for convictions,
Mhm.
and that's why we call them trustees. They clean up the jail.
Do you
They
chain them?
clean.
Do you chain them together?
No.
Can you do that? Can you legally do that
If you were transporting them somewhere, yeah, I
for
guess you
security?
could, for security reasons.
Because, and I had mentioned this to other candidates, is I can imagine, and I know there's some case law out there, but I can imagine that that would at least minimally infringe on the Eighth Amendment to the Constitution to their cruel and unusual punishment by
Yeah,
chaining people together.
I would agree with that, and there's limitations and requirements. Uh, you could probably do it if you're transporting only, but you can't do that, you know, daily
And say
for no
go
reason.
go pick up trash.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um, we've never considered that. Uh, you got you got to look at it this way. You got a lot of people down there that couldn't post a bond. You know, they've done something. They don't have anybody to get them out of jail. They don't have any money, and you know they're in there with hardened criminals that deserve to be there. And you know, hopefully that person will learn by his mistakes and not go back there at a later time. That's what our hopes are. Recidivism, you know, is tearing this country apart. Look how much money we spend on these inmates. And by having the tablet, we are making money by using like Paytel. You know, we brought in probably $60,000 to $100,000 each year that goes back into the general fund with the county, just because the inmates are using that product. And you know, why not take advantage of that?
Mm-hmm.
And it's cutting down on assaults in the jail, and other negatives that could come up.
Like, just two more topics right quick on the detention center. One, excuse me, one of your opponents had made a statement and said that it is an active, continual policy, not a policy. It's an occurrence that any shortages of manpower that is in the detention center is due to reclassification of a detention officer, if that's the correct term, a detention officer reclassification to another position. I can't remember what they said now. Like a training or a communication or
Garage.
I don't. Well, anyway, I think it was
Taking that position and putting it somewhere else.
And thereby eliminating a position, creating a shortage of staff at the jail. But you said you're full.
We are full, basically.
With the exception of a couple.
Yeah, we got 3 or 4.
And every agency across the state has an issue with that. I do know that.
Yeah. You know, one of my opponents said we were 20 short on patrol.
That was where I was going
And
when we get to patrol.
We're full.
Awesome.
We couldn't operate if we were 20 short.
That's a lot.
You know, we only got, that's 2 shifts. That's 2 shifts.
So you 10 per shift, okay.
Yeah. So, you know, a lot of people, they may not, and I'm not taking up for my candidates by any means, but maybe they said they were short, and by the time the story gets back to me, we're 20 short. They may have said 5 or 6. But no, we go over that every week. We've got people waiting to be interviewed to fill positions. We're at the point now where we have the luxury of picking.
So the assertion that you're short staff, whether it's patrol, vice, detention center, you're short staff because nobody wants to come to work there. You're saying you got a waiting list.
Well, we're picking people.
Mm-hmm.
I talked to an Asheboro policeman today. He's wanting to put his paperwork in. And I said, let me check. I think we're full as far as where he wants to go.
Mm-hmm.
We may have someone transfer out to go to SRO or something. We just added some SROs. But we're in great shape.
Awesome.
We're in great shape. Our response times are still low, and our deputies love doing their job.
I don't remember what the other one was, but it'll come to me at some point. So okay, so let's switch gears and move over to CID. Tell me a little bit about CID, how much staff you have, what they do, types of cases?
Criminal Investigations Division.
Mhm.
It's the office is actually located in Northgate Shopping
Oh,
Center.
the investigations division is?
Yes,
Okay.
along with the Invictus
Mhm.
lab. They investigate the criminal side of investigations.
Is there a
If
limit?
there's a patrol,
Is there a limit to, like, if you have mailbox vandalism, somebody steals a lawnmower,
yes,
does that go
property
to,
crimes.
so that goes to the detectives?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
No, if a patrol officer can handle it, he will handle it. He or
Okay.
she will handle it.
Mhm.
If there's a follow up of some sort, um, maybe a theft of jewelry, break in, that would go to our criminal
Okay.
investigations. And it's up to the patrol officer to, if he can handle it, we'll let him handle it. We don't want him spending a lot of time
Mhm.
handling that case because we've got other calls to attend with.
And it's probably part of a maybe career development as well.
Exactly. Our detectives are, I mean, they have case after case after case.
What is their average caseload? Do you know?
Well, I talked to one person, he had 36 open cases.
36.
That was the most, and then, another guy may have 16 or 17.
So
It-
how are you productive with 36 cases?
Well, they're waiting on evidence to come in.
Okay.
They're waiting on results to come back. And, it's open until we've completely finished
So it
it.
could be like in a pause state.
Exactly. And, when the evidence comes back, they put it all together. And it's note taking, good case notes are very, very important. We check that, make sure all the cases are making good case notes. All the officers are making good case notes. They do a great job. They communicate well with patrol, and that's one of the things I wanted to happen. I wanted not only our captains to communicate back and forth, but I wanted our lieutenants on patrol
Mhm.
to communicate with criminal investigations. And it's gotten better than that. Now we have officers communicating with patrol officers, detectives,
Mhm.
and that's what it's all about. You've got to have good communication from every division within the sheriff's office for it to work the way it needs to. And also that communication don't stop there. It needs to be to the public who we're
Mhm.
working with. And what I mean by that is returning your phone calls. When I first started, when I first became sheriff, I'd get phone calls every day. Hey, so-and-so didn't call me back. So-and-so didn't call me back. And I told them, I'd call the officer myself, hey, it don't look good. You need to return your
Mhm.
phone calls. And, we work for the citizens of this county. And even though you don't have any new knowledge to provide them, you let them know that you're still thinking about that case and you're still working on it.
Or at least you haven't forgotten it.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And you've been there.
Mhm.
You know how important it is to wake up and wonder what's happening now, on the case. And you call and you don't get a call back. That's discouraging as a citizen. And
So now, when one of your opponents, I mean, has been critical of investigators not communicating to the family, and then I'll just make a
Mhm.
comment from my observation, then you tell me. But it is that nobody talks to the family, and this is regarding a homicide. Are there situations where communicating case information to a family could be detrimental to the case?
Yes, it is. But,
So in what scenarios?
and I know what case you're talking
Mhm.
about. I've even I went to the house and sat down with the family and told them. you may not get a phone call this week, because the reason the evidence hasn't come back yet. And it was so important that, and they call every week, which I said, hey, don't stop calling, keep calling, but it may be a while before that officer, detective calls you back. But if he don't call you back, call me. I will check into it. And I've already told them as soon as that evidence comes back to let me know. I want to be present when we present this evidence to the family.
And would I be correct in assuming that, I mean, certainly and understandably, families are emotionally charged over cases like that, and sometimes revealing vital information about these cases to emotionally charged individuals that you don't necessarily, some of that information may be that nobody knows that, and if you relay that and it gets out, that can compromise any future leads.
Exactly, yes.
And I'm sure that happens.
And there's a lot of times where families will look at it and they know, they just haven't been told, but they realize what that evidence is, what we're waiting on, and they put two and two together, and even though the officer detective's not telling them, they understand it and want to know as quickly as possible, the results of that evidence.
And so I think at least two of your opponents have been critical over, we'll say, the number of missing people and unsolved homicides. So touch on those just a little.
What unsolved homicides are we talking about? We had several back during the last administration. We've got cold cases, yes, but we have opened them and we're looking. First of all, what has not my opponents been critical over?
And this is the purpose for wanting.
What have my opponents said I've done well?
Yeah.
We've reduced property crimes 23%. They haven't mentioned that.
Yeah. Well, and actually one did.
Yeah. Major crimes have not increased that much. We have charged over 200 pedophiles.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk about that one. I like that.
We've got 3 great inspections at the detention center. We're almost full. Practically full. And so, where's the positive?
Right. And I would say that if you went to any agency, this is just my guess, every agency is going to have an unsolved homicide, and they're going to have an unsolved missing person that they don't know where they are. And so, but have you got a cold case detective, or does the regular detectives, or I would assume an experienced detective, he'll maintain.
We'll have a lieutenant over criminal investigations look into these cases, and we even have had a person who was assigned by me to look into cases. He's a retired police officer from up north. He came in and we had him looking into the cases to get a different view, from his standpoint. We've had others look into these cases. We could solve 1 or 2 of them, but the person's already dead.
Okay.
And do we close it because of that? No, we don't.
Yeah, and they're exponentially harder as time goes by.
Exactly. And I know you're aware of one case that happened up near Ranneman.
And I think that case has been investigated to death.
Exactly. And we know who did it. I mean, we've got pretty good idea.
That's where knowing and proving's two different things.
Exactly.
I understand.
But
it doesn't mean you haven't given up on the case.
Exactly.
Okay.
We had one down in near the county line, Davidson-Randolph line, that we know who did it. The person who did it has now since been deceased. There's a lot more to it than we don't solve them.
Right.
We try to, there's nothing more pleasing than to bring closure to a family who has lost a loved one. We'll open any case that anybody wants to look at and continue to look at it. I don't, they say it's a closed case. I consider no case that has been solved is a closed case. We're going to continue to work on it. And, you never know what evidence is going to pop up.
Yeah, so the thought that it's sitting on a shelf somewhere collecting dust is not accurate.
No.
Yeah.
We have a tip line that you can call, give information, and that's why it's very important that we maintain communications with the public.
Mm-hmm.
I had a call yesterday. A person entrusted me to handle a case to put somebody with him in reference to laundering money, millions of dollars.
And so you're handling that case yourself?
Well, we are.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
He didn't trust the city. I don't know why. He didn't trust the federal government, but he does trust me. And I know him. I don't know him well, but he wants us to handle it because he's got the proof. He's got a tape, a video.
Yeah, we won't turn. We don't want to
exactly.
say too much.
So, we're going to handle it.
Okay.
So, there's good things happening at Randolph County Sheriff's Office.
Good. So, all right, let's switch over to your vice. Tell me a little bit about your vice unit, and we don't want to divulge too much, there, but kind of the roughly the number of people, what they do, and
we got our vice officers, vice and narcotics. We got a VNet, which is they go out and do a lot of property crime investigations. It's like the old whatever Sheriff Graves called it, B&B or whatever.
Okay.
We brought it back, and we've got another interdiction part of it. The interdiction guys just yesterday, 2 days ago, got a huge amount of drugs and money off I-85.
So that's the highway interdiction.
That's the highway interdiction.
Okay,
you don't hear about it.
So let me switch to that right quick, just because that was an item later down. Tell me about the interdiction unit. You like it? You don't like it? Why the public doesn't hear about their results?
Well, first of all, I like it, or I wouldn't have regenerated it.
Mm-hmm. The last administration did away with it.
They did away with it, and there's a lot of crime being traveling up 85. Even though we got 8 miles of it, there's a lot of crime, drugs, human trafficking. You just can't avoid Randolph County. You've got the beach, 220 US 74. So we've got 4 people assigned that. We've got 4 people assigned the property crimes unit that goes out and has solved crimes basically before they have happened.
Mm-hmm.
We just got 2 old cars back from a person who had died and locked him up. We found the vehicles, and the family, the 2 girls that were going to inherit those cars, live in Chapel Hill area. They were ecstatic because we took the time to go get them, to investigate the case, and solved the case. We even made an arrest. So they're doing so much, but we can't advertise it.
So
The
why
reason,
can't you advertise it?
because it's just like in any vice and narcotics. You got the big guy at the top of or the bush, the tree. You want to get that fruit off the top of the tree. In order to do that, you can't just cut a branch. And what I mean by there is take pictures, put it online, put it on Facebook, because other people, crooks, are watching. The people that may be at the top of the tree, the fruit, will know.
That ruins your case right there.
Exactly. And so you've got to be hush hush. You've got to bite your tongue and not talk about those cases.
And that's like a two-edged sword, isn't it? I mean, you're an elected official. You want to be able to tell people how effective you are, but if you've got these guys out on what's it called, highway interdiction, highway interdiction, they get $1 million in currency and 5 kilos of dope. You can't say a word.
Exactly.
You might can, but it might be a year later.
Yeah, exactly. You know, if we play it right, we may get an even bigger bust. We may even save a few lives. So, you know, it's not about me. It's not about me at all. It's not about the vice officers. It's about the people of Randolph County. You're going to do what's best for the people of Randolph County, and it could save a life, an overdose.
Okay, so if you had to just guess, you know, because I don't expect that you micromanage your folks, but if you had to guess, how many hours does your vice guys work a week, you think?
40.
40. So one of your opponents in an interview had said that in recent years that the drug arrests have gone down. And we talked about whether they need more people, more staff. What's the if that person was sheriff tomorrow morning, then what would be the solution to it? And the solution was work harder and more hours. They should work a minimum of 55 to 60 hours. Is that a viable solution?
I think if you work efficiently and manage your people, you can achieve anything you can in 40 hours a week. Sometimes you may have to work over, yes, just like in any position with the sheriff's office. If the demand is there, you've got to provide the manpower.
But as a general rule, you're saying that's not the solution.
Well, it's federal law. I mean, you're going to have to pay those employees, and you're going to burn them out. I've been there. You've been there. And I'm for switching these people.
How often would you switch them?
Well, I would look at their attitude, see if they've changed any.
Depends on them.
Exactly.
Because one of your opponents worked, I believe, 12 years in vice and narcotics.
Yes, exactly.
Is that too long?
Well, I would say so, depending. You know, I'm not going to talk about the way he treated people during that time, but I think he should have been replaced years ago.
So maybe
he would take things for granted, and I've heard stories about that have worked with him, worked alongside of him.
So if you had to stick a number on it and say, this is a hard number, 7 years, 5 years, 10 years, is it still subjective to the person?
Yes, I believe so, because, for example, I worked third shift for 11, 12 years. They say that's crazy. I mean, it'd kill you. I didn't have any problem with it.
Whereas somebody else might.
Whereas everybody hated it. And I looked at it as an opportunity for me to have weekends off with my family, be able to go to football games, coach football at South Davison, and have a 5% increase in pay due to shift premium pay. So I took advantage of it, yes. And you make it what it is.
So some people may have to be replaced at 5 years, and some can
I
go
think
longer.
some people need to be replaced in 6 months, you know,
Yeah.
depending on their attitude.
Right. Because it's not for everybody, right?
Exactly. And that is one of the toughest things, that in criminal investigations. The Invictus Project, what they see each and every day, we don't want them to lose that passion, and we don't want them to go home and commit suicide either.
And for an average person, I mean, that would be hard for you to articulate and explain to them,
Yes,
not having done it.
exactly. They see the worst of the worst.
They live the worst of the worst.
You're exactly right. And law enforcement's hard. It's very hard. That's why, you know, what, 5-6 years after you retire, you're lucky if you're still living.
So that's your strategy. That's why you're not retiring.
Well,
You're gonna keep.
it keeps me busy.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right.
But the last 7 years have been tough. I wouldn't trade it for anything, though. I think we've made a lot of good accomplishments, and I found, you know, I wanted to make Randolph County better, the sheriff's office better than when I received it, and we've definitely done that.
Awesome. Awesome. Let's switch over to your patrol. First of all, I guess I'll ask, in the whole scheme of things, and I'm not asking you to pick favorites or anything, but how does patrol rank in the grand scheme of things as far as importance?
Patrol's number one.
So it's kind of the backbone.
They're the ones that make the car move. You've got to have a good patrol unit. You've got to have good people that can think fast on their feet and react just as fast.
And so you, if I remember correctly from earlier, you have 4 shifts.
We got 4 shifts.
And 10 on a shift.
10 or 11.
Okay. So
you've got a lieutenant.
So you're looking at 40, 50 people, 40, 45 people.
44, 45 people, yeah.
Okay. So are there any shortages right now on patrol?
There's 2.
So just 2.
2
so
instead of 20.
So the assertion that you are 5 people short across 4 shifts is not accurate.
No.
Yeah. Good.
Now, we have been that short. We've been very short. We've been to the point of having other personnel from other shifts work overtime, so that shift won't be so short. It's tough on the guys, but we're at a point now where we've got a lot of people trained. They're out of training, and you know, I hate to say cruise control, but we've got others wanting to come to patrol from the detention center.
So you got some options to fill and shifts.
Yeah, we've got several different options.
That's good.
And we want to put people in the positions they want to be in.
So they'll be happy and productive.
Exactly.
Okay. So let's switch to your SROs. So how many SROs are there, and just kind of, I don't even know where they're assigned, how you assign them. And first of all, tell everybody what an SRO is.
School resource officer.
So these are the deputies that are out there stationed. I assume they're stationed at certain, like I see one at Randleman Middle School where my grandkids are. I see one there all the time.
Yeah, we have 24, 25 SROs. We've added some more. We have hired 2 in the last 2 weeks from another county to come in, and their responsibility is to be the sheriff in that school. Now, if you've got an officer that's assigned to like Randleman High School, He may go to the middle school too,
Okay.
elementary school.
Okay.
You may have Southwest Randolph's SRO traveling to Southmont to check on that school.
School, does the Randolph County school system, do they
They
actually
some.
pay?
They pay a percentage, and
Pay
the
a
county
percentage.
pays a percentage.
Okay.
And you know, just like our 4 new that's at Archdale Trinity
Mhm.
that we just now.
Yeah, tell me about that, because there was some
Mhm.
scuttle, you know, here
What it
a month or
was
so ago about
last year, um,
25.
yes,
Okay.
they decided to do they came up with a scheme. Um, John Cable, Archdale Trinity, just wanted SROs in
In
their elementary or their schools.
one or multiple?
They wanted 4.
4 schools. Okay.
And in order to do it, they were going to add 1%, 1 cent to the taxes in Archdale Trinity.
Okay. Now, is Archdale Trinity, is that 2 separate entities, or is that one? Do you know?
Well, we're talking about one.
Okay.
Um,
So they took 1 cent and added it to their tax, and that was to be earmarked for these SROs. Okay.
we first told them there's no way we don't have the manpower, and they said, why not? Well, these people that have to work school have to be trained as an SRO.
So
Well, can you
that's
do
specific training?
Yeah, unless you put an officer in that school for no more than 3 days or 2 days. It's got to be 20 hours. If they work more than 20 hours, I believe they have to be considered SRO. So one officer couldn't work, say, Archdale Elementary School all week. He couldn't do that. That's what the guidelines are for school resource officers.
They can't work any more than that in one school?
In one school.
Okay, so they have to go.
Well, yeah,
Okay.
exactly. And so we were that's why it was so much of a big deal. We had to schedule officers, SROs. What had happened, I had called Justin Trogdon, who was a major.
Mhm.
I said, what's the deal? We need to start figuring this. We'd already had a plan on how to do it. We're still waiting on the school.
So the scuttle is that there was a delay between.
Oh yeah, they blamed it on us.
Okay.
And we went to the county commissioners after this, and we told them it wasn't us. We have proof right here.
Mhm.
These are our notes.
So everything's squared away now.
They blamed it on us, and what it was the attorney had that paperwork on her desk.
Okay.
And I hadn't been there, but maybe 2 days, and she was the last stop, and they blamed it on us. She stood up and said, no, that paperwork showed up at my desk on Monday, and it's, whatever, Friday, and she hadn't signed it yet. She's still checking it. But the blame was shifted to us, and I'm not going to sit back and accept the blame when someone else is at fault.
So it wasn't necessarily an intentional it wasn't just a delay and I'm not going to implement it. It was an oversight somewhere in the process.
I don't know if it was intentional.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't think so with the importance of the issue, especially when they decided we want to do this. Okay. We were ready, we were prepared, and I know my 2 officers that I sent up there said that there was a huge delay in the Archdale Trinity part, their personnel, and then Dr. Gainey didn't know anything about it. So I don't know who is exactly at fault, but it surely wasn't Randolph County Sheriff's Office.
So is all of that rectified and you're on a path
I
to?
hope so. I
Okay.
hope so.
At least it's on the radar.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's see.
And I apologize for yawning. It's been a
Long day, isn't it? Long day. Started early, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So the okay, we talked about courthouses, county offices, and we'll touch on that just real quick. County office, one of your opponents said that they don't agree with sworn law enforcement doing clerical work. And they indicated that if they're elected, that any sworn deputy doing clerical work was going to be absorbed into another role, and that was going to be, then I need to go back to something else, and that was going to be staffed with civilian roles. Then coupled with that, and I'll let you talk about both of them, is the same opponent had said that out of all of the bailiffs that are in the courthouse, that about half of them, the discussion was that they thought there was 28 bailiffs, 14 of them need to be absorbed into the department, and then a third party contractor for checking them in at the
front.
At the front.
And we've considered that.
Okay.
The clerical side of the question, it would have to do with what part of the clerical.
They didn't specify.
You know, if it's a front desk, you have people coming up there daily.
And I think you have a lot of civilian.
Yeah, I've got
employees.
a warrant. I need somebody to serve it on me.
That's a good point.
Or, you know, they'll receive a phone call. They're DCI certified.
Tell everybody what DCI is.
It's a criminal-based program that checks driver's license, tags, wanted persons, stolen vehicles.
Just a computer-based informational
Yeah,
system.
you know, like it's equivalent to NCIC, but NCIC makes up the DCI.
So yeah, so it's just computer platforms to check things. Is that
Yes,
right?
sir.
Okay. So and regarding the bailiff situation, so you're saying you've considered?
We have looked at it. I kind of like the idea. You can get I don't know how much it would cost, and one thing about it, you've got customers up there. You've got Superior Court judge, you got district court judges, you got the clerk's office. You know,
and the
juvenile intake officers.
Yeah,
You've got a lot of people in that building.
In the scenario that this person said, the way that however many courtrooms there are, every courtroom would remain with an armed bailiff as they are now, to protect the folks and to protect the judges and wherever all that is. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I think they were specifically directing toward kind of that main lobby.
Yeah, where you enter the courthouse, you would have civilians checking, searching them.
You wouldn't necessarily disagree with that then?
Well, it's not that much different than what we have now.
But if you absorb them into the department and then you add third-party contractors, that's a budget add, right?
Exactly. But you've got to look at, you know, if you've got sworn officers working front desk, you've got sworn officers working the courthouse, they're also working patrol.
That was my next question.
As they're going from home to work and work to home. And we encourage every one of those. Before I took office, were not trained. We had some that didn't even know how to work the radio, didn't know what the call signs were, didn't know how to stop a vehicle But and when we got there, when I got there, I said, that's a liability. We can't allow someone to drive a patrol car with blue lights and siren that don't know what to do. I know they've been to BLET, but they haven't been to any other
Just minimal
supplemental training. So we started a training program where you had to complete this, and this. In case you ever stop at a service station and you go in, the place is being robbed. What are you going to do? You got a gun on your side.
I mean,
you know
that exact scenario happened in Guilford County where a deputy lost his life.
So it gives us more cars
Or a
out
police
on
officer.
patrol.
I'm sorry, police
It
officer.
has reduced our response times. And that was the main goal, is to reduce response times. We got response times down to 9-10 minutes.
So yeah, and another thing just popped in my mind too is the courts were just shut down due to weather for how long? Week or two?
Yeah.
The deputies, those bailiffs don't stay at home, do they? They don't go
no.
home.
They either take a week of vacation or they come and serve civil papers, help with the civil process, or they go on patrol.
So a third party contractor can't do that.
No, he would be at home. And we're going to use those like SROs during the summer. After, we have camps set up. Some of those SROs will go on patrol and work, on shifts. There'll be they'll work a second shift instead of coming out at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the morning. They'll come out at 1 o'clock and work a 1 to 10 kind of overlap, which helps us. Or they'll try to serve some warrants, try to get the warrant number down, summons, whatever, subpoenas. They alleviate.
And there's always a lot of those, right?
Yes, sir. And see, we've got to serve Ashborough's subpoenas, Ranneman
Because that falls under the civil process responsibility that you mentioned earlier.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And, that's part of it. So we want to maintain what we've got and be better tomorrow than we were today.
All right, so now we'll switch over, touch on the garage a little bit, the cost benefit or the cost versus the benefit, because one of your opponents, well, actually two of your opponents had brought some of that up, the cost versus the benefit, sworn, whether it's one or two, or I don't know if there's sworn people in there assigned to do the work.
We got one
versus civilian.
Yeah. We got one sworn officer, lieutenant, down there, Greg Deaton. He oversees it. And
so he's not necessarily a mechanic. He
can do mechanic jobs.
Okay.
But there's so much paperwork involved. And he keeps up with. When I first took office, you pick a car, you didn't know who was driving it, you didn't know when it was last serviced, there was no paperwork. They'd take it to a garage. You don't know what work was done. It was unorganized. We have a program now where we know exactly how many miles has been driven on that vehicle by this person. It's assigned to he or she. And we know when it was last serviced. We know when it was last inspected. We keep up with it on a computer program. We also know when parts, like the water pump, they go out on a Dodge Charger. We've documented that about 80,000 miles, it will go out, and when it goes out, it will bust the radiator. The fan will go through the radiator. And then you have a tow bill. Also, you've got to tow it.
And a radiator.
Yeah, so about 75,000 miles, we start changing that water pump.
So it's basically like
preventive maintenance.
You've done scheduled preventive maintenance.
Exactly. We keep a mechanic will check on at 6 a.m. when shifts are changing, and he or she will service the vehicles.
So how many mechanics do you have down there that does that work?
We've got two full-time and one part-time.
Okay, and a question that was posed to me, and I don't know what it stands for. Is it ASE certified? Is that what?
Yeah, I guess.
Is it any of them?
Yes, they
Okay.
are. They went to RCC
Awesome.
and were certified. This was back during the last election.
Good. And one thing that I did mention to your opponent, all of your opponents on this is just a belief that I have, is that there are extra securities with what you've got with the garage. You know who's working on it. They don't have to take all of their items out of the car because a citizen would be working on it otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
And I assume that you have a fleet of spare vehicles.
Yes, sir.
That they can come in and get another one. It doesn't take 2 deputies to take one to a garage. And then I guess additionally and most importantly is through all of, I mean, everything is not a savings. Sometimes you say, I'm going to spend more money, but it's worth it because of that security, because of that either tangible or intangible
Mm-hmm.
thing that I get in return for it.
Right, you could say that. We did a study when we first did the garage, and we had a return on our investment in 11 months,
mm-hmm.
which was unheard of. And I said, well, we can't tell the commissioners that. So we said 14 or 15 months. And we came out saving $86,000 that first year, I believe. And just on inspection stickers, just think about that. You get a car inspected, how much is it? $35, $30 or whatever?
Yeah, all my stuff's old, so it's cheap.
Well, anyway, mine too. You talk about 200 cars.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
So what all kind of, first of all, do you know roughly how many vehicles are in the fleet?
250 some.
250. Right. And
that's counting Bearcat, Command Center, everything.
But they all have to be worked on and maintained. Okay, so and then yeah, what types of work do you guys do? Obviously it's more than changing oil and changing tires.
Mm-hmm.
So what else?
Well, we do that. We do a lot of alignments. We'll do some top of the engine repairs.
Okay.
The Dodge, after a certain period of time, it will tick. The lifters, they need an upper, I guess, service where they'll take the lifters out and replace them.
And so obviously, you mentioned earlier, obviously, water pumps.
Yeah, water pumps, whatever it may be,
mm-hmm.
They do whatever they can. And if they can't do it and come out ahead, they'll take it to a local station like Lawson Parks.
So something a little more major.
Yes,
okay.
Where they can, they have the equipment to do it.
Okay.
But it's, I think it's one of the better things that we have accomplished in mainly keeping a safe vehicle for our deputies, and that has allowed us to have our reduced response times.
So how many, I guess, and this is just my thought, but how many spares do you keep?
I would say.
I mean, how many officers do you have? How many deputies do you have?
Well, you got 44, 45 patrol deputies.
I mean, totally. Well, because all of them won't have a car,
yeah,
right?
You've got, I don't know exactly how many sworn.
You said there's 200 and...
We got about 296, 92 to 96 employees. I would say 250 maybe.
And how many spares does it require to main?
Maybe 10, 8 or 10.
And so it's just kind of in and out. They'll pick up a spare
we'll do away with a spare whenever it gets to a point of non-repair,
Yeah.
unable to repair it, and we'll use that vehicle if it's in good shape body-wise to take parts off of.
Mhm.
And when we scrap it for parts, we'll then crush it, and the money goes back into the general fund.
General fund of the county. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Well, let's switch gears again and let's talk about homeless. The whole homeless deal going on. I guess first of all, do you feel that I'll ask this: what do you feel is the not what the sheriff should do, but what do you feel is the sheriff's responsibility to do, legal responsibility to do?
Is protect lives.
Okay. So
Look after
would you
those.
agree that there's a segment of these folks, some are homeless to no fault of their own and probably require help, assistance, and that I guess the legal responsibility of the sheriff is you're not responsible, just responsible. You're not responsible to help those folks. But what I would say are vagrants. You're in the county. You're responsible to enforce the law on them.
Yeah,
So
it comes back to the first question.
uh-huh.
God. What would God
That's why I
do?
distinguish the two.
What would God do? The Bible don't say you shall help your brother if they are a legal citizen. You shall help your brother if they are living at this address. It says you shall help your brother.
Okay, so how do we as a society
Help them.
how do we solve that problem?
The only way is to provide them shelter on a cold night. You know, we want to preserve life any way you can, and hopefully they solve the problem themselves. They're going to have to. It's just like an addict. You can. My brother, he was hooked on prescribed medication, and he was losing a lot, almost everything. And I wanted to help him. There's no way I could help him. You know, he was going to have to hit rock bottom and then cry out for help. He's going to have to help himself before he receives any help. And it's the same deal. I think homelessness is by choice. I really do. They don't want to follow the rules of the owner of the house. And therefore they leave. They want to live their own life the way they want to live it, and it don't work that way. You've got to follow the rules, but it's my job, my duty as a sheriff of this county to protect all lives, period. As a Christian and living a Christian life, I'm going to do what I need to do according to Scripture. And it's just simple. It's not a hard. I'm going to do what I can do.
So if I took just a magic wand and I said, okay, Sheriff Seabolt, boom, your only task for the next 4 months is to figure out a way, employ whatever resources that you need to. What is your best guess of how society approaches that and fixes it?
I don't think society.
That's a hard.
Yeah,
that's a hard question.
I don't think you can't give.
Well, let me back up. I shouldn't say how does society fix it. How does society approach it, and whose responsibility is that?
I think it's the person who is experiencing the homelessness. He's going to be responsible for and decide whether he fixes it or not. We can't fix it for him.
And let's say that there's a group of people, they're somewhere, and there's a number of, if there's 10 there, let's say there's 2, they want help. They want to get out. They're an addict, they're homeless, they're vagrant, they're committing crimes. You have to enforce the violations of the laws.
Exactly.
But is what is it? And I don't know the answer to it. What is the solution to helping, enforcing, and who are the people that need to be involved in that?
Well, I think, the district attorney, obviously. I
From a
think,
criminal aspect.
yes, I think you need a reputable, if it's addiction, a reputable program that involves Jesus Christ. And, and I have, and you think about this, how many people do you know that has kicked the addiction habit for good that wasn't a Christian now?
Very few.
Exactly.
Very few.
That's the secret.
That brings up a question. You're working on this. This just popped in my mind. Are you working on a rehab center?
I've been working on that rehab center ever since I started.
Okay.
That was before the Invictus project, but it wasn't God's plan.
So you haven't started? You haven't done it?
No. We're still looking for property.
Okay.
We had access to some property, but it fell through.
Okay.
And we're still looking for some. We want to start like a Ground 40, which is a great ministry. You'd love it.
Ground 40.
Ground
Okay.
40. It's after Psalms 40. It's in Union County, Monroe is where it started. Wesley Keziah. He was in jail. He got arrested 80 plus times. And it tells his story. There's a song written about him by Micah Tyler, Breaking Free, Walking Free. It's a great, vivid song, and it shows him in jail. It shows him getting out, and he did actually film the music video at Ground 40. I went down there, visited, took the commissioners down there, and they loved it. It's just finding a facility to implement it, to start it. And Wesley even said he would come up from Union County and make sure it started right and put the right people in the position that needs to be there.
Okay. And I don't know if you're aware, and you probably are, but Representative Brian Biggs has House Bill 781 in the Senate now to actually from a legal perspective, from the state I won't go into the whole thing, but it sets out some policies to be enacted into law regarding homeless camps on state property and then where they can be established. I'm not sure if you was even aware of that.
Yeah, I've talked to Brian about it.
Yeah, and so I think that it's still on the House floor right now. And
you got a lot of homeless moving in vacant houses. And they try to take them over. We can't have that. Anytime somebody does that, we're going to try to take care of that, and get them out as soon as possible.
Yeah.
The only time you will ever hear me say something about the homeless is when it's cold. Yeah, I'd love to solve the problem, but when it's cold like we've seen in the past, and we run across a homeless person, we've got to provide them something for a warmth, whether it's in a building or wherever. And I told them to put them in your car, search them good, take them to the jail, and have a supervisor, officer that either down there or on patrol, lieutenant, to watch them in the lobby until it warms up, and then put them out.
And so obviously you knew you drew some criticism, from your opponents over that.
I always will. I don't care. I went home and slept good about it. I'm going to do what Jesus Christ would do. And, whether you're homeless or not, it's my job to protect the people. It's not my job to judge. We'll do our job. We'll keep them alive and protect them. Let God judge them.
And that's somebody's child.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
See what we got here. What's your thoughts on the whole needle exchange stuff?
I'm against it.
Okay. Nothing
Totally against it.
Nothing else needed. That's basically, I mean, I'm of the opinion that that's enabling.
I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
So, and I already know the answers to this, but to be fair to all the candidates, is your thoughts on facial hair, tattoos, and uniform appearance.
I don't like facial hair.
But you allow it.
Hmm.
Hmm.
I personally, I don't like it. As a sheriff, I allow it. Yeah,
Mhm.
I do, because it's not about me. It's about the county. It's about the men and women. Well, mostly men that have facial hair. Um, you know, if they keep it well groomed, I
So
have
you
no
set
problem.
policies for it.
Yes, it's got to be well groomed,
Okay.
and it's the, I guess, duty of the supervisor.
So it can't
to
be here and well groomed.
More, no.
Okay.
It's got to be short. And I've had to say something to a few of them.
Mhm.
You know, don't let me see you like that again. You know,
Mhm.
make it neat. And but I'm a highway patrolman. I don't like facial hair.
Yeah. That's what I was
Uh,
going to ask you. I mean,
yeah,
it's hard to change a old dog.
exactly.
Yeah.
But it's not about me. It's not about me. It's about making them happy and providing them a atmosphere where they're happy.
Okay. And as far as tattoos,
I don't have any objections.
you don't make them wear long sleeves to cover them up, or unless it
No,
might be
not this day and time.
if it was an offensive tattoo, you
Oh
would probably
yes,
would.
if it
Yeah.
was offensive, you better believe it.
Wouldn't necessarily
Yes,
fire
sir.
them. It just have to be covered.
Exactly.
Okay.
Um, and you know, we would, if I didn't hire them, if I was interviewing them, I would definitely um, check into it. And you know, sometimes uh, you overlook things during the hiring process.
What I do want to do though is I want to go to the budget. You've got beat up over the budget,
Hmm.
and to a degree, I've defended you on the budget, but nobody knows it's your budget. So you know the numbers, so I won't know them. But it was 8, 18, 19 million when you got
I
elected.
want to say it was 21. It may have been
21.
19.
Either way, let's just say 20, and it's about
33.
33 now. So,
It has gone up a
but I
lot.
mean, you get beat up over that.
Yeah.
That's
Um,
not, and a lot of people have asked me, and a lot of people have sent me messages and say, I want to know about the budget. That's, I'll always say that's not necessarily a bad thing.
yeah.
It's, I'd like to know from that 20 to 35, 38, whatever it is, what is in that since you
Yeah.
took,
The
what's in there?
increase,
Nobody else knew. I will tell you
yeah.
that. Nobody
I
else
think
knew.
the increase had a lot to do with programs that we've started for the citizens. The Invictus, you know, was expensive, but look what we've done. And we're waiting on other counties and also the
Mhm.
state of North Carolina to help us with that. We shouldn't foot the entire bill.
So is so in that overall budget, what in your mind would be the largest bucket? Would it be salaries? Would it be the detention center?
The
What?
detention center's high, and salaries, you know, for right at 300 people that's pretty high.
Okay, so when
Um,
you got elected the first time, the number, and for me, I'm trying to just make it make sense so that hopefully the folks will understand that every increase isn't a bad increase. So if do you remember how many people what your staff was when you first got elected?
I would have to look.
Okay, yeah,
I
because
don't
I
know
don't know.
exactly.
So yeah, because if I'm trying to see what the difference is.
We did add some individuals. You know, we had an increased patrol. No, it's still the same.
So it's still 10. It's been 10 since when you.
Yeah, it
Okay.
was.
So have you obviously you increased the detention center staff,
We had to.
all the capital.
We made, the detention center was half its size, and we had to double the number of employees down there.
And
basically.
I guess it is well, obviously the employees, that's a repetitive annual salary
sir.
increase. I imagine there's probably some increases at the courthouse as well.
We've added a couple there.
Okay. So, and then what could be, other than the Invictus, because I'm saving that one, what could be some programs that you've implemented that could be eating that up? I would imagine your fleet probably is a good part of that too.
What happened, my first term, we were supposed to get so many vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't give us but half of them. And we had already managed, we've got to keep circulating those vehicles out.
Right. So for the people that don't understand, explain to them what you mean, how that works as far as rotating
you've got a
those
constant
vehicles.
cycle. You've got one employee that may have 140, 150,000 miles on the vehicle.
How long does it take them to get that many miles?
I've got my truck. I don't drive as much as they do, and I've already got 60-some thousand on my truck.
Over what period of time?
2.5 years. You
Okay.
know, I put about 30,000 on a vehicle every year.
Okay, so you're looking
it could
at
be 5 years old, and you're right at max.
So you're rotating them out every 4 to 5 years.
Yes.
250 some odd vehicles.
And what we did, we didn't get the budget. Even Commissioner Allen said, "You're kicking the can down the road. If we don't give them the vehicles, you're going to have to double up next year or the year after." And what we did, we got behind that first, so we had to double up. We had to spend more money. And, with the cost of vehicles going up, and then the cost of equipment for the vehicles, you couldn't get it for a long time. We had vehicles sitting at the garage that we couldn't outfit. We had appointments or scheduled dates for these outfitters, like in Stanley County, Albemarle. We had one down in Lee County. We had an outfitter, and they couldn't get to us to put blue lights and sirens on it. So those vehicles had to sit for. So what we did, we decided, let's do it. Let's go ahead and do one vehicle, see if we can do it efficiently, and get these cars out, because they're not good setting for overall year or whatever. And so we started outfitting our vehicles ourselves, and that saved us a little bit of money. But we had so many vehicles that we had to purchase, so there's a lag, so we had to go ahead and contract those out. But for the salary increase, our budget was 33, but we didn't spend but 31. We rolled that money back over into the general fund. That's what they give us.
Do you typically, if you've got open positions, do you typically roll the salary funds back?
Well, we can use those to purchase other equipment.
Okay. Do you have to?
And we ask to use that.
That was my question. You have to get.
We'll have to get permission from the commissioners.
Okay.
One thing we had to update, renovate the command bus, put new wiring in it, new electronics or whatever, and that cost us quite a bit. And we asked to use carryover funds for that.
Is that the same as lap salary?
Yeah,
Area?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay,
It's part of the carryover
okay.
fund. And like our bulletproof vest, we have to get those certified. They expire. Um, our guns, we've already changed guns one time. It's normally about every 5 years, um, actually every 4 years, and we're getting ready to
New guns, new
new.
caliber,
No,
or
it'll probably be the same caliber,
okay,
but it'll be a new gun because these have been fired so many times.
okay.
Qualifying. Um, there's anything you buy in law enforcement is so expensive.
Well, they know the government's paying for it, so the
Yeah,
price is higher.
and it's ridiculous.
Mhm.
We just whatever I could get an itemized, budget expense and show you, but everything's gone up. Just like the price of eggs, went up how much? Um,
Everybody's buying chickens.
yeah, we've got a bunch too. So,
Yep.
but that's basically what our problem is we got behind to start with, and then we had to increase it double the number of vehicles that we bought.
Mm-hmm.
And we try to use our interdiction money, our seizure. We've got over $500,000 in there now. And we get to spend that on items that, equipment, LPRs, license plate readers, things like that can help us with the drug problem or
Okay.
whatever it may be.
Okay. So I got two things I want to cover, and then I want to get into the Invictus program. And one, first of all, I mean, I'm thankful for this conversation and the openness, and we talked about this ahead of time. But there's two things I want to talk about. One is, and then I'll just mention it. I'm gonna leave it to you just to describe it and answer however you want. But it was it was kind of the whole social media mess going on about this podcaster from Minnesota and some controversy.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to cover that.
Yeah, what happened there? It was another scheme to try to make me look bad. I vaguely, I know.
Yeah, with no names.
Okay, the lady who owns it, she put a roof on my house, and we paid her. Did a good job. Her people did. And anyway, I put a sign in her business yard back in 2018, 2017. Met her through a mutual friend. She allowed me to do that, and also this past election, I've put a sign in there every year, and nothing was ever said. And then she went through some financial difficulty, and owed, quite a bit. And I feel sorry for her, but she created it. She's going to have to stand up and account for it. But they included me, or said that we were more than friends, which was slander. I didn't appreciate that.
Okay.
And implicated me as being much more, which no, we're not. And anyway, I ended up taking my sign down. He called me, and he recorded me, and he just called me at a bad time, I guess. And I told him that I didn't appreciate him accusing me of doing that, and being her boyfriend, which was, I'm married, and after that conversation, uh, that was it. He put it all over social media, trying to ruin me. And you know, you work your entire life on character, um, and somebody wants to tear you apart, you know, claim that you're this and that, which is he will have to answer to somebody at a later date. And you know, I was told just keep your mouth shut, and I said it's hard to when people are slandering you, and but I did, and I don't know what I blocked him. I don't know what he's saying. I could care less. I got one person to answer to, and it's not him.
Okay.
Um,
So, and then the before the Invictus, the last thing is you made a decision um, to support a candidate outside the Republican Party.
yes.
And I'm not even sure everything that happened, but tell us what happened, why it happened, how it happened,
Right.
and the reason you made the decisions that you did.
Yes, I had talked to the sheriff of Chatham County and found out that he was not going to run for sheriff in this 2026 election, and asked him who he's going to, you know, put in or who's going to run for his spot, and he said that his chief deputy, which was Stephen Maynor, he's a heck of a guy. I know him.
But he's a non-Republican, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
he's a non-Republican, and we work closely with Chatham County, as we do all neighboring counties. And as a sheriff, I've got to look at what's best for the sheriff's office. Who's going to be there for my men, my women that are working the road, and who thinks along the same lines I do. And he's got a record of that. The other person that was running on the Republican ticket has lied to me a couple times. He's been to my office, and he's not a good candidate for sheriff. I'll put it that way.
Okay.
And I've heard other stories about the treatment of people that were under him, and confirm those stories by talking to the family.
And so you publicly made a decision to support
I wanted
this Stephen
Maynor.
Okay.
And you know, I'd called him and told him that, you know, I didn't have to know, but I felt like it was something I needed to do. I wanted to let my people know that I'm with them, and I'm, no matter whether it's politically correct or not, I'm going to do it. And you've got
so you're saying that you made a decision to do what you felt was right over any political maneuvering that may take place.
I'm going to put people over politics any day.
So what was the consequence for you taking
what
that
it
stand?
was, if you support someone in a election that is opposite your party, you forfeit your opportunity of being on the executive committee.
So did you know that prior to taking
no,
that?
No, I did not.
See, that was an assumption. So it was just me within myself. It was an assumption, and that's under a clause of automatic resignation,
Yes, sir.
right? So all of the talk that's out there that said you were kicked off of the executive committee, that's false.
Correct.
And
to a certain extent, yes.
Yeah.
It wasn't kicked off. I forfeited my opportunity, my right to be on it by doing that.
So if you would have known about that clause,
it didn't matter.
You'd have done it anyway.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
definitely. You know.
But you still support the Republican Party.
Oh yes, yes.
Still a member.
I've been a Republican my whole life, and I've got good conservative values, and I'm going to continue to work hard in this county to make the Republican Party stronger.
And you have in the past, I believe.
You better believe it. Yes, sir. So it was a no-brainer for me. You know, other other Republicans, other Democrats have done the same thing. A matter of fact, Bobby Kimbrough, a Democrat over in Winston-Salem, is endorsing a Republican district attorney over a Democrat, and he was told, he was looked at badly also for doing that. It's just it has a lot to do with character and whether you're going to stand up for the right things.
Now's my favorite part. Let's talk about Invictus. Tell me about Invictus.
Invictus is a program, it's a proactive program. Back in 2019, I guess, it was a vision of mine to work in a proactive stance to bring pedophiles to justice. And, you know, I knew there were some out there. See, what it is human trafficking, period. We're stopping it before it happens. Because if you have a person, a male, that is reaching out to a female, knowing that that female is underage, and they continue to groom that person, eventually they're going to meet, eventually they're going to be abused, and eventually it could lead into selling that child, contributing other sex acts on that child, or even, you know, putting her, using drugs on her, getting her addicted to drugs so no one would find out, you know, if she got to the point where I'm going to tell daddy or mama. It's a crossroads, and we try to take care of it before we hit that crossroads. And what we have is Randolph County, Forsyth County, Alamance County, and Davidson County sheriff's offices. They provide 2 members to come to Randolph County, which is our home base, to a lab and work on seeking out these pedophiles online, whether it's on the dark web, whether it's on social media outlets, and we try to sink the hook, you may want to say, set the hook. We talk to these people, and they gain, I guess, confidence in who they're talking to. And we may advertise as being a 12-year-old nonverbal, slightly autistic child, or a mother that is got a child that's getting ready to turn 12 years of age, and she's nonverbal, slightly autistic, and she wants her daughter to experience sex, you know, for the first time. I need someone that will treat her with care. And you wouldn't believe the number of people
Just
that
baiting.
that will get on that site and show interest in it. And what we do is we generate so many cases, you know, during a period of time, and then we get together and have a stage house set up. We may have a bicycle in the front yard, or whatever it may be, and we ask that person to come and meet with this child, or the child requests him, please come, I want to meet you. And you'll have people showing up with Sir Pete's McDonald's Happy Meal, handcuffs, guns, you know, all kinds of stuff. And these people are not necessarily your criminal type. They're pastors, they're fire chiefs, they're police officers, they're lawyers. They come from as far away as South Carolina, Virginia. And, you know, it opened my eyes the first time we had an operation. We arrested 19 people that came to Randolph County to have sex with a 12-year-old child.
I mean, and I've seen, you know, through social media, news outlets, I've seen the results of it. I mean, it's phenomenal in the number of apprehensions that I've seen. So to some of the critics, how is Invictus different than
Okay.
ICAC? And tell everybody what ICAC is too.
Internet crimes against children. ICAC is a reactive program. We wait and get a victim. Most of the time, the victim's parents will call and say, "Hey, my daughter was raped," or "My daughter," and they may not ever report it. So we're doing something differently. We're going after them. We're on the offense.
So the Invictus is a more proactive approach as compared to the ICAC.
We're on the offense with Invictus. And it's a priority. That's all they do. ICAC, you may have a detective that has other cases, and when he gets caught up on these cases, then I'll go do ICAC. And it's pitiful. It didn't work that way. And you can see the increase in what we have accomplished when we had ICAC compared to now. We've charged 200 plus to this point. Yesterday, we charged a person who was having sex with a 14-year-old. And, which is sad. It is sad. It's going to affect that person rest of his and her life. We have males seeking males. We have males seeking females. We have females seeking females and females seeking males. It does not discriminate. And, as long as men have walked on earth, it's been a problem. And we're taking a more proactive approach at it. And I think a lot of people are taking note to it. I'm proud that it's in Randolph County. I'm glad that God put me in touch with a person, Ray Dawson, who had the same vision. And we worked together. And the God thing, when I wanted to start it, we didn't have the right people in place. When we had the right people in place, the right captain to oversee it, the right lieutenant to oversee it, it took off. That's when we started.
And so Invictus somehow that they partner, well, they partner with these counties, but they also partner with some at least a nonprofit, right?
Yes.
What role does that nonprofit play?
The nonprofit would be the Invictus Project. And you've got to have a nonprofit to really make it roll. The reason for that is you want to be able to have someone go out there and do the education part of what to look for in, grocery store or whatever, human trafficking. Also, they provide a lot of funding, nonprofit, a lot of funding that we need right now. Like we may need a new program for cell phone extraction. And if we need to get it, we would have to go for the commissioners next month, and then they would vote on it, and then we may get something in 3 months.
So through the nonprofit, they're able to, however
NGO,
they do,
exactly,
they're able to secure some funds
right then.
And okay.
And then if we need to help raise them money,
it's not that we as taxpayers are dumping money into the 501c3.
Right. And what it is they're a nonprofit. In order for us to do what we need to do and have the equipment to do it with, you about got to have an NGO, which is a nonprofit that is attached to you, and y'all work together to provide this service. We're doing the enforcement, they're doing the education part, and also the treatment. You know, if we interview someone who has been charged with a sex offender case, child sex exploitation, if they have other victims, we will go find those victims. And most of the time they will brag about it. Yeah, I met with this little girl, my niece.
And that's where the nonprofit comes in.
Exactly. They can go and provide treatment for that individual. And they're going to have it, some sort of mental health expert to talk to them.
Yeah, good program. I love it. I love that program. I've got 2 more and then we're done. First question, is there anything, we've been through a lot, is there anything that I didn't ask you that you'd like for me to ask you or talk about?
No, I think, I rate somebody not by what they say, not by how they say it, but by what they do. And since 2018, I don't know of any other sheriff that has made the accomplishments that not necessarily I did, but my team made. Mm-hmm. And I've always been a firm believer. I don't know everything. I'm going to put people in the position they need to be to make those decisions. I'm going to put smart people around me. I'm going to listen to them and go with them and learn with them. And that's why we are so successful. That's basically it. I sit back and look at the accomplishments, and I thank God first, and then second, I thank all the people around me. It's amazing. I've got a sheet, and we put accomplishments on the front and back, and I've always stressed the little things are the most important, and I don't want to leave the little things out on my card. I said, well, let's just do 2 cards. And they said, well, that's a little bit too much. People aren't going to read it. I said, but it's important to me, the little things, like Sundays on Sunday, go to a rest home and have a chocolate nut sundae with seniors, or the Veterans Treatment Court. That's a big deal, but you don't hear that much about it because the Invictus project is taking all the spotlight. That is one of the programs I wanted to really showcase, and it kind of took backstage to it, but it's helping people. And if you can, your decision, whatever it may be, is for the betterment of the citizens of this county, you're making the right decision, period. You won't lose any sleep. That's basically it.
All right, so this may be the hardest question or the request. I want you, and in all fairness, I asked all 3 of your opponents. I want you to take all 3 of your opponents, and I want you to tell me their best characteristic or what you like most about them.
I guess their best characteristic is...
just take them one at a time and say...
Eric Hicks is, best characteristic is, I guess, thinking he will win, being positive about the sheriff's race. You want his worst too?
Nope.
Okay. Arrington's best is I really don't know.
Okay.
And Taco, his best characteristic is people. I think he
people person.
Communicate with people well. I really do.
Good deal.
And I love them all. I really do. I wish they loved me like I look at them. And, you know, I'm not going to throw stones at them. I never will, because I'm not perfect. And
None of us are.
yeah, exactly. So hopefully they will, you know, wake up one day and say, hey, you know, I shouldn't have said that, or I shouldn't have done that. And I'm sure they will one day.
Yeah. And I will tell you, and I want to tell you in front of everybody, and you didn't have to come sit down with me. You didn't have to do this. Well, I honestly, I didn't expect you to. I thought the answer would be no. I have that much more respect for you now because you were willing to come sit down, be open, throw caution in the wind, and let everybody see you truly for. I mean, everybody doesn't get to see you like this. People that know you, people that work with you, but I don't know how long we've been here, a couple hours anyway. I think it'll do nothing but help everybody to look at you and say, maybe this is the guy that I want.
Well, I think, you know, give me a chance. Don't judge me by my cover or whatever. You know, I'm a slow talker, but I'm not that stupid. And, you know,
I don't know who talks slower, me or you.
well,
both of us.
I'm glad I'm proud of it, you know, where I come from. And I know you are too. You know, we've got a rich heritage here in Randolph County in the Piedmont, and I wouldn't dare change who I am or where I'm from.
And so I thank you. I actually thank you more than you'll ever know.
Yes, sir.
For you, you know, coming out and letting everybody just be a part of seeing who you are.
I look for future opportunities.
And I wish you the best of luck.
Yes, sir. Thank you.